Good evening, everyone, and welcome to True Crime, Voice for the Voiceless. Hi, I'm Maria. Today we're going to discuss the Susan Smith case and the recent parole hearing. Please let me know your thoughts of this case in the comments below. Now let's get to it. Susan Smith was 23 years old from Union, South Carolina. She had married David Smith and they had two young boys, 3-year-old Michael and 14-month-old Alexander. Now, on October 25th of 1994, 911 received a call from a man who stated a lady came to his front door. She stated a guy jumped in her car at a red light and took off with her kids, that she got out of her car and ran to the house for help.
Yeah, there's a lady that come up that door, and some guy jumped into a red light with her car, with her two kids in it, and he took off, and she got out of the car here at our house.
And he's got the kids?
Yes, ma'am, in her car. And she's real hysterical, and I just decided I need to call law and get them down here.
Now, after the police showed up, Susan Smith allegedly stated a black gunman carjacked her vehicle and took off with her young children. She claimed the gunman had her drive around for a bit and then told her to get out. She stated he told her he wouldn't hurt the children as he drove away. She ran to the nearest home for help. Now, David stood by her side and believed her 100%. He couldn't imagine she would lie or do anything that would to hurt the children.
You know, I believed her 100%. 100%.
Your mama loves you so much, and your daddy, this whole family's love you so much.
And he couldn't understand why the detectives were so concerned about her not passing polygraph test instead of worrying about finding the children.
But like they were wasting time dealing with her and these polygraph failures, and I wanted every law enforcement, all the manpower looking for Michael and Alex.
The detectives did not believe Susan because she didn't keep her story straight. They felt like she didn't act like a mother that had two babies missing.
In the courthouse, I remember noticing that David was visibly upset. I mean, he was just out of control, crying, everything, and she had no emotions.
Now, on October 3rd of 1994, Susan Smith admitted she had lied. She allegedly stated that she drove her 1990 red Mazda to a nearby lake. She parked on a boat ramp, put the car in drive, and released the parking brake. Her sons were still in the vehicle in their car seats. The car ended up about 120 feet away from the dock. Now, when they had the trial, they did a test, and it showed that the car took 8 minutes to actually sink. So those poor babies suffered. The community was outraged, not only because of her caning her children, but that she blamed a black man. Now, the authorities went to the lake and retrieved the car with the 3-year-old Michael and the 14-month-old Alexander still in their seats.
I was there that night, and I just, basically what I remember is the car being put on a rollback and being removed from John D. Long Lake.
A tow truck rolled in. Divers had recovered the missing Mazda protege and the bodies of the two young children.
This was about 10 days after she put the car in the lake. This was probably one of the hardest things that I've seen in a long time. Now, they showed part of the funeral on TV, and seeing their father, David, in the little caskets was heartbreaking and very hard to watch.
The look on the face of the anguished young father, David Smith, touched everyone. He could hardly walk. He wept as the procession of cars left for the cemetery, and people wondered again, how could this happen?
No one could understand how anyone could do this to their children. Now, this was a small town, and the media frenzy was crazy. They were following poor David everywhere. They were even hiding in trees.
The media frenzy was out of control. I had them hiding in trees. They were hiding in shrubberies. They were chasing me in their vehicles.
This was during the time that O.J. Simpson had the trial on TV. So the prosecutor and defense were arguing whether to have cameras in the courtroom or not.
Smith's attorney David Bruck told the judge cameras in the courtroom would promote problems he says he's seen in the O.J. Simpson trial, problems with the jury and problems with witnesses.
Well, the defense lost because the judge stated that having cameras in the courtroom would potentially make it difficult for Susan Smith to have a fair trial. So no cameras in the courtroom. During the trial, her stepfather, Beverly Russell, got on the stand in Susan's defense and stated it was not all her fault because he admitted forcing her to have a relationship with him when she was 15 years old, and that they continued to have an affair even when she was married to David Smith and had the 2 children.
And continuing an affair with her even after she married and had little Michael and Alex.
Now, it came out in the trial that Susan Smith was having an affair with her boyfriend's father, Tom Finley. After she told her boyfriend he didn't want to have anything to do with her anymore and told her that this was just too weird. It came out that Tom Finley gave Susan a letter about a week before she drove the car into the lake, telling her he no longer wanted to have a relationship with her, that he did not want to have children, and he did not want to take care of her children.
That's the original.
Dear Susan, you will make some man a good wife one day, but unfortunately it will not be me. The letter says we come from 2 different backgrounds. A few paragraphs later, he says, Susan, I could really fall for you, but like I told you, some things are not suited for me. And yes, I am talking about the children. I do not want children, and I don't want the responsibility of your children either.
After they ended up pulling the car out of the lake, they found in the trunk her wedding album, her wedding dress, and everything that had to do with her marriage with David Smith.
This is the wedding album of Susan and David that she had put in the trunk of the car to sync with the rest of the life that she was trying to leave behind.
Now, the prosecutors tried to paint her off as a woman with mental issues because of the things she went through as a child. The jurors were given the case. David Smith and his family wanted her to get the D penalty. But after the jurors came back, they gave Susan Smith a sentence of life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years. Now, after the trial, they asked David Smith if he was okay with the ruling.
Again, personally and as far as my family, no. But as far as respect for what the jury returned, yes.
Let me know your thoughts. Life with the possibility of parole after 30 years, or you think she should have got the D penalty? Tell me in the comments below. Now let's get to the parole hearing. November 4th of 2024 marked 30 years that Susan Smith had been in prison. She is now eligible for parole, a parole hearing every 2 years since she's been in there for 30 years. On Wednesday, November 20th of 2024, Susan sat before the parole hearing. They asked her questions, and then she gave them a statement asking to be released and stated she is not the same person she was before.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I know that's not enough. I know it's not, but I don't know. I know those just sound like words, but they come from my heart. They really do.
David Smith and his family, 2 prosecutors and friends, stood up one by one and gave a statement. And all of them asked for Susan to be left in prison and not get parole. That she gave Michael and Alexander a life sentence and that she should have a life sentence in prison. Now, when David Smith spoke, it was heartbreaking. He is definitely a broken man. It's so hard to watch him talk. It just brings tears to you.
Not let her out. I miss them very much. And I love them very much. And I will be here every 2 years going forward to ensure that your death doesn't go in vain.
He asked if they would give her a life sentence in prison because he said 15 years for each child was not good enough. This has been 30 years, and he still is so heartbroken, and it's so hard to watch. It really, really is. Now, Susan Smith was denied parole.
Ms. Susan Smith is denied parole. The vote is unanimous. Numbers 1 and 6. Thank you.
Please let me know in the comments below what you think. Should she have been denied parole? Should they let her out? Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching True Crime Voice for the Voiceless. And I hope you all come back and watch some more soon. Bye for now.